can tell we're on the move because the devil jumped up.
There's been so many things that
What, the devil hasn't jumped up in your life? Man, I'll tell you, that's the best sign. You can tell when you're doing well, when you're attempting to do good and be helpful, because the devil jumps up. He's your proof. The inconvenience of the devil coming into your life is proof that you are probably headed in the right direction. So with all of that, we say, health. Our health is our wealth. And the devil will bring those big, sweet sugar cookies in the middle of the night. I know. In the middle of the night. Out of nowhere. You're just sitting there and all of a sudden, you know, the cookie monster shows up and wants to share some cookies. Well, that's okay if you're not afraid to do some push-ups, you know, or jumping jacks or something. But folks, we have so many plans, so many things that we want to do, and by the time we get there, if we have not taken care of ourselves, if we've not taken care of our health, if we have not eaten right, if we have not exercised, if we have not put our minds and bodies together, we can miss the reward that we've worked all of our lives for. It's not, your health is important. So how do you know about your health? How do you know about you? How do you know what challenges are challenges and what challenges are actually gifts? How do you know? You have to explore. You have to check yourself out. You have to not be afraid to try to do something new. To change is the hardest thing on the planet. I know I'm changing every day. I'm trying to change. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to be better. But why would you do that? Come on now, isn't that a silly question? But we ask ourselves that all the time. Well, why would I want to exercise? You know why I know you ask it? Because I don't see you out there exercising. You're thinking about it. You know how I see you thinking about eating correctly. I know because I'm on the same bandwagon with you. It's a decision that we make every day. But those are decisions that we can control. We can decide to be mad at the sugar cookie guy in the middle of the night, or we can say, ha, devil, I ain't worried about you. I'm not eating that sugar cookie tonight or in the morning. And I'm going to do the push-ups anyway because you interrupted me and made me think about it.
You can't get mad at little Debbie.
Yeah. So you have some things to do. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen here on Rosa Parks' birthday, February 4th, the 24th year that we have been celebrating the Rosa Parks birthday in the state of California. And it's a holiday now in California. And the bus companies, the transit people, all of the folks who Rosa was making a point to when she parked on the bus and decided not to get up and move to the back. Transportation, movement across America, movement across the planet. You moved me from Africa in the hold of a ship and you want to tell me I can't sit in the front of the bus? Sorry, I'm not going for that anymore. So, a big statement, a long, hard decision. Nah. The long, hard decision is us. Are we gonna park? Are we gonna get up? Well, let's park for our future. Let's park for the future of our children and understand that as we park, we don't know who we're really parking for in the future, in the sense that we are looking for equity for everyone. So one day, what you're working for to make available to you because you know it's not fair that you don't have it, one day, somebody that you don't like, somebody that you've got a prejudice or thought against, is probably going to have access to what you helped create because it's equity. And don't get mad when they get their piece of the pie because you weren't mad as you angrily spoke up for your piece of the pie. Yeah, our goal is not to get just a piece of the pie, but to make the pie bigger. That's what we have to do, folks. And as we learn more about who we are and we learn more about what we're here to do, that actually should come a little bit easier, because the further we get into understanding the world and who we are, the further we get to understanding that we're sitting around the same table as a family. I don't know if it's true, but if there was Adam and Eve and only two of them, that means that's where we started from. I don't know. I wasn't here, but they say Lucy represents all of the people who were born up out of Africa and spread out all over the world. Makes sense to me, though, that we retreat information as we retreat into the history of information, that we are actually advancing into an understanding of the future about who we are. But what does that mean? I'm off course again, but that's okay. In the sense that we have an expert that we're going to be able to talk to today, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. But let's talk a little bit about why. We are at a point now where history is telling us that we're cousins and brothers, and we're showing it. And we've got people who have thought that they were white all their lives and find out that they've got actually a history of melanin crossing their background. And my mother, for instance, knew a lady in Mississippi, and I'll have to have her tell that story. This lady grew up thinking that she was black and actually found out that she was white, but she had already lived a black life. And at one she was a very confused lady, nice lady. I remember meeting her a couple of times. Who are we? What is this big ism between us? And I can't just say it's between black and white, because I have to say it's between black and black and brown and white, and red and green. And why can't we all just get along? I'm not sure, but this is Black History Month. Black History Month is an example of both of those things, an example of why that we don't get along and that we do get along. An example of how we've got a group of over testosterone white men during the beginning of creating America who were just hating black people, Africans, just hating them, in the thin line between love and hate. And then we end up with all of that hate creating the African American. Our bloodlines evidently don't necessarily agree with our so-called statement of love and hate. So we're here. We're sharing the planet. Now, as I prepared for our guest, I noted that we have two terms that are very popular now. One is genealogy, genetics, genealogy, and genetics. Well, same thing, isn't it? Well, Miss Gwen Howland will tell us that it is not the same thing, and she's going to explain to us how it's different and how it's relevant, and why we bring this subject up as I open up talking about, health is your wealth. If you know who you are, there's a lot of reasons people want to know who their ancestors are. For health reasons, for bragging rights, for property access, for reparations. It's a lot to it. I'm not sure exactly why you're interested, but we're going to talk about genetics today, genealogy as well. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and my friend Mr. Mac Rome, who's here. Mac, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Hello, everybody.
Very good, and we appreciate that you're here. And, of course, the Mood Master's here, Mr. Anthony Garcia. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to introduce you to Miss Gwen Howland. She is a family history tracker and tracer, genealogist. She's been doing it for years. She has contributed to I'll read her a little intro when I come back. And you guys go get your glass of water or whatever it is you got to get. Come on back. You are en route to a history lesson that is going to feel like, peach cobbler, lemon pie. But then I associated all that stuff with the devil. But you don't have to eat it. You can look at it. You can hear it.
Why is it
But I did my push-ups. I did my push-ups. I'm going to eat some lemon pie today.
Was it that bad you did a push-up? Tell me the truth.
No, it's just, You know, everything that's bad is usually wrapped up in something good, and everything good is usually wrapped up in something bad, and you have to be able to work that package. Anthony, you got something to say? Talk to me.
Every time something good's gonna happen, something bad tries to stop it. Is that
That's what
you're
I'm talking about. The devil showing up.
saying? Well, devil could be your neighbor.
The devil
It
could
could be a relative.
Could be.
It could be anything.
That's right.
Well, Anthony just shared with me before the show that he just celebrated his 74th birthday. So happy belated birthday, Anthony.
man.
But let me ask you something. Are you really worried about a piece of pie at this age?
No, I'm weird. Not that piece, not that piece. Don't put it out yet.
Okay, we're
I'm
going
not
to take a
worried
short
about
break
it.
while Anthony talks about the. I'm not going to say that either. We'll be right back.
But when you make that California trip,
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Join the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. Enjoy the benefits of membership designed to support and accelerate your business. Make valuable contacts with other professionals, expand your resources and your customers. Update your learning experience via the Chamber's low and no-cost seminars and workshops. Improve your social media impact. The Chamber is dedicated to supporting your unique business needs. Take your first steps to the next level. Join the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. Call 951-823-0175. That's 951-823-0175. I'm Peppy Jackson, the president of the Riverside County Black Chamber of Commerce. You have my personal invitation.
more than 2,000 miles all the way.
Well, sometimes when you're hungry, it can seem like the food is 2,000 miles away. And how am I going to get it? But I'll tell you what, if you're here in Southern California, well, I don't know if you want to drive all the way from San Diego or LA. But if you are anywhere within the Inland Empire, that means you are probably no more than 15 or 20 minutes away from Rock's Louisiana Fried Chicken and Seafood Restaurant. They specialize in seafood, Southern cooking, and if you're in the mood for some seafood, their most popular options include crab cakes, fresh fish, oysters, shrimp, and po' boy sandwiches. If you want to savor some delicious Southern food, the menu features a variety of flavorful favorites, including jambalaya, slow-cooked gumbo with rice, a hearty oxtail dish with rice and beans, rice and gravy. They also feature crispy fried chicken, greens, mac and cheese, and much more. Plus, they've got these great desserts. Oh, there's the devil. Wallace talking that devil stuff.
Get 'em, Rocks.
Great desserts. I'm going to tell you, they'll probably be gone by the time you get there. If you don't hurry up today, they open up at 11:30, so you've got time to hook it up, be back home, watch the basketball game. Actually, you might want to order now for I'm not going to get in trouble and say the word Super Bowl, but the big game that comes on TV next week. You may want to get yourself prepared. Give them a call. Rocks, Louisiana Fried Chicken and Seafood Restaurant, 909-275-3360. That's 909-275-3360. Right there on Route 66 here in the city of Fontana in the Inland Empire, Southern California's gateway to happiness and all of the great things you've heard about in Southern California.
Did you say slow cooked gumbo?
I said slow cooked gumbo.
Slow cooked.
Not quickly. It's something that makes the shrimp and the other little creatures get all hard. But slow cooked, so that they're nice and
Squishy.
Yeah, they've got a nice little.
It's the good gumbo.
Man, Rock, I tell you, Rock's gumbo does not have rocks in it. Okay. I'll tell you what, that's important to, checking your your gumbo recipe.
Because some of y'all can't cook gumbo.
Well, some of y'all don't.
Cooking
Most
is
of
in it.
y'all can't cook gumbo. That's why you need Rock's number. But I'll tell you what, most of us think we can cook gumbo because we've got some ancestral claim to it based on a recipe.
That's correct.
You know, and sometimes, I don't know, maybe our guest, as she uses various evidences to chase the families. I know that she goes to cemeteries. I know that she goes to libraries. I know that she goes to hospitals, to city records. I don't know if she uses recipes. That might be Of course, people might lie about the recipe. They could lie about everything else too. But Gwen Howland is a family historian from Chicago, Illinois, with a zeal for documenting and preserving African American lineages spanning the timeline of slavery and beyond. She has traced her family lineage to the sixth generation of slaves and their slave holders. She's studied genealogy at Chicago State University under the instruction of renowned genealogist Tony Burrows. She's been certified by the Iowa Digital Association. She served 3 terms as a board member of the Black Belt African American Genealogical and Historical Society. You know, folks, like me, you probably had no idea that there was so much science and bureaucracy and attitude and platitude and stuff involved with genealogy. But once again, genetics, you hear about genetics, you hear about DNA, you've got people spending money, and it's a $3.5 billion industry in 2022. By 2032, it's supposed to be an $11 to $12 billion industry. There are people interested in knowing about their past, in some cases so that they can be better suited for their future. If you have health issues, well, anyway, let me have Miss Gwen Howland tell us a little bit more about why she's so interested in genealogy and the difference between genetics and genealogy and all of the things that, as we are enticed to be part of this $3.5 billion industry, we can sometimes get tricked and fooled and mesmerized by everything that's going on. Miss Gwen, how are you today?
Good morning. I am well. How are you this day?
Miss Gwen, I'm glad to hear that you're well, mainly because you do so much good. So we want you to be well and healthy and continue doing what you are doing. Tell us more about what you are doing.
Okay, I'll be glad to share that with you. So I am a family historian, primarily for African American lineages. I am not a genealogist. I am not a geneticist, which genealogy, my opinion, is the study of genes and genetics. I am a family historian, and I belong to an organization, FWA, which is the Freedom Walk America Family History Society. And what we do is we document, promote, preserve family history. We also teach people how to trace their family history.
Mm-hmm. Teaching people how to trace their family history. I asked this question initially, and the difference between family tracings via genealogy and doing it through DNA, the gene pool, is a bit different. Can you explain to my audience the difference?
Well,
or will you? I know you can. Will you please?
Well, that's sort of a short answer for me with that. So, my organization, well, first of all, you have to find out who you're going to trace, and that's so important for the DNA. Our DNA is descendants and ancestors, connecting descendants and ancestors. So just say, for instance, if you are interested in learning more about the family, your family tree, where you came from, were there slaves, slaves in your family tree, or because everybody that's African American is not necessarily that their family history. They have to, come from slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the short answer to this is, once you find out, a lot of people that we help, and even with our clients that we help, they want to know if they are a descendant of an African. They want to know what tribe, what country on the continent, and we call it. They want to cross the waters and go back
Mm-hmm.
to find that information. So there's companies that actually do the DNA, right? There's a company that I particularly, and our organization particularly, depend on, or I should say that we sort of endorse, and that's African American Ancestry, because they have the largest database
Okay.
for African Americans, and that would be Dr. Rick Kittle, who is a geneticist, and Gina Page, who does the marketing, so to speak, for the company. They spent years in Africa swabbing different countries, right? And so at one point they had over 30,000 DNA samples. I don't know exactly what the numbers are now, but that would be the difference. We actually help you find your ancestors, and then most people, again, they want to do the DNA for it to find out exactly where they were from.
Okay, and as we find out our ancestors, the impact on the health industry is one thing. Because if we've got a particular gene that if it's a cancer gene, if it's an ugly gene or whatever, we are able to do something about that once we recognize that it travels in our system. That's not quite the same as the emotional feelings of all of chasing down our family history. But you almost have to do the same thing to do that. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Well, it's important. I think once you find out your ancestors, depending on whether it's maternal or paternal, it's important that who gets swabbed. Okay, and I'll just give you an example. Say, for instance, you're tracing someone on your maternal side. Well, with African ancestry, you'll get a particular kit, okay, because of the mitochondrial gene, right? That gene dates back, I think, to 15,000 years, right? So if you're tracing your maternal side, your mother, your grandmother, great-grandmother, et cetera, then you would have to get a particular kit, the MaxiClan kit, because that mitochondrial gene, only a woman can pass that gene on, right, to her son. But her son, a male, cannot pass that gene on. So it's important, whoever you find, whatever side you're interested in tracing, when it gets to the DNA part, it's important who you swab. I don't have any brothers, right? And if I'm looking for somebody, which I did, on my paternal side, I can't swab myself. I don't have any brothers. My father brothers are all deceased, so I would have to go to a common ancestor or a common relative that shares the same DNA that my grandfather would.
So I see why this is a $3 billion+ industry, because I don't even want to do my taxes. But I want to know that that they're done, and that maybe I've got some money coming back, or maybe that I was able to successfully shelter some money. The same thing with my ancestry. I want to know about it, but it sounds like I may have to go to college to figure that out, or figure out how to trust someone else to do it. When you say you actually teach people to do this, how long is it before they're able to successfully do someone else's chart?
Well, with a few workshops,
A
we have
few,
like
a few.
with a few workshops.
A few
I would
hundred,
say,
a few hundred, a few 10. How many few?
when I say a few, I would say anywhere between 3 and 5 workshops.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
3 and 5 workshops. I could know what?
In 3 to 5 workshops, we'll give you the tools, the basic tools, the introduction to genealogy, terminology, resources, repositories that you can visit, where you can get the records from. Some people take off after the third one because they're hungry. They take off after the third one.
Okay.
It all depends on who you are, what you're looking for, how hungry you are. You really want to know. But I tell you this, everybody, after the first session, everybody gets that bug. And we have heard, people have told us, I was up all night long looking on the internet. So now we have digital research where you can actually go on a computer, on the internet, different sites, and find information. But the truth is, once you do all of that, you exhaust your research, you have to go to the places of your origin.
So it's unlike watching the Lakers beat the heck out of Boston, where after the game, I say, okay, and I go sit down and eat dinner, maybe roll over and go to sleep. When I get through with your little class, I'm gonna be up all night.
Yes, once we introduce.
And she bit into this. She said, "Yeah, you're gonna be up all night."
Yeah, you're gonna be. Most people are.
Mac wants to say something. I can see his lips moving.
Yeah. Well,
Mac.
I don't want to get too far into what you do, but it sounds very interesting. It sounds like you're studying a lot of census records and stuff like that. You say you're a family history expert.
Gwen, what made you get interested in doing what you do? Because what Gwen is going to tell us is amazing, because what she has done, where she has gone to secure information, Mac, is places that you and I roll our eyes and look at her and say, "Oh,
Yeah,
really?"
that's kind of where I'm going.
So he'd like to know, how many graveyards, how many recipe books,
newspaper articles,
how do you put this
census
stuff
records?
together?
Yes.
What made you get interested, and how many nights have you just not gone to sleep?
Countless. When I was a little girl, I was just always fascinated with storytelling. And my grandmother in particular, my mother and my grandmother, always shared stories with me. And I can remember as young as 5 years old. And my grandmother would tell me stories. And I just had a curiosity. I wanted to know all these people she's talking about, not really even knowing what slavery was. But I was just curious. And then my father was the first of his siblings to make his transition, and I was 7 years old. So I kind of gravitated to his brothers and sisters, because I wanted to know so much about my father. I was only 7. And I wanted to know so much about him. And I really didn't know what I was doing, but I just felt a need to write things down that they would tell me. And I'm telling you, I was young as 5 and years old when I would just jot things down and draw little stick figures of people, of maybe who they were or what they looked like. And when I was so inspired when Alex Haley introduced roots to us. And it wasn't so much of the story itself, but just the research that he did. And I knew it was then possible that, we have so many myths in the African American community that you will never find who your family really was or your ancestors, only to a certain generation, because of because our history was so fragmented, with slavery and migration, and people were constantly moving, that we would never find this information. And again, thanks to Alex Haley, I don't think he's talked about enough the work, the research that he done,
And leisure,
introduced.
and the leisure time that
Mm-hmm.
available to go into this endeavor, because initially there's no money there waiting for you. It's just who's Papa, who's Papa's Papa, who's great great. And so that's a mission of love and passion.
Yes.
The fact that it's becoming a way for people to, people can get paid for their time. Now we've got as my friend who's on the air before us, we've got jackleg people that are just, oh, here's a way to go make some money, which nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But there's a difference between people who pursue things because of the economic values and who pursue things because of their personal passions. And so we're at the point now where passion is not the reason for everybody to get involved. And I encourage people to not miss the $10 billion boat that this industry is floating. So you need to get your part there. But I do appreciate the passion that it took for you to get started and become the expert that you are. So tell us how you have gathered information. Tell us some of the important information you've gathered. Tell us about the information that you donated to various organizations to help their databases be large enough to be relevant.
Okay, so I've been researching for 30 plus years, close to 35 years, and what started out as was a passion. Then a team of us, some friends of mine, we said, well, you know what? We have to form some kind of organization that we can really. We were so passionate about this that we wanted everybody to know their family history. So important for African American people because there's so many undocumented. It's our history, it's our stories, and it's part of American history, of course. And so many times we were excluded from records. For example, we were not on an official record, which was a census. That's the first record that we were documented on, unless you were from a free state. Like New York, mostly the East Coast, New York, Rhode Island, etc. But places that we started taking our vacations. Every time we get on vacation, we're going to be in some rural courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
The records that we found were just didn't have a clue that they existed. Mostly probate offices in rural areas. They have the original records. They have volumes of oversized ledgers, of marriage records, agriculture records. Each county, not only a U.S. census, of course, a U.S. census, but they have county census. Records when appraisement records, right? So slave data. Since we were property, we see these records of the slaveholder where we were on the appraisement, as property, and the value of each slave and their age.
I may not know your name, but I know you was mine.
They live now on the appraisement records, on the property records. Yeah, the slave name was mentioned. The age of the slave, their name. Of course, slaves didn't have surnames, but the given name was there. The age was there. Agriculture schedules, plantation diaries, church records.
So your property inventory, and you were part of the property, so that becomes a record that's probably fairly accurate. Your taxes, I don't know if they were paying taxes, but they certainly, well, they definitely kept a record, because I understand that in Washington, D.C. specifically, that as the Emancipation Proclamation was followed through, that white slaveholders were paid reparations for taking away their income potential by freeing, when their slaves were freed. So they had to have a record of that to take place.
Yes, they did. You're absolutely correct with that. Even when they would contract, these are some of the records that's never mentioned. People don't know exist. There's thousands of records lying dormant all across the South, right? The southern states. They had contract records when they would contract the slaves, to different plantations. Some slaves were even before emancipation were free because of there was a slave by the name of Peter Lee, a master craftsman. Made tools to build plantation homes, and all of his records are there. I mean, these are the kind of things that you find that's not there. Again, they're not. They're there, but they're not archived. They're not. They're not mentioned. People don't even know they exist.
But
and
they were there for the convenience and maintenance of my economic wealth. And they, at a time when they were private and proud of it, that was great. Now, as we look at it, that pride becomes evidence of their participation in human trafficking. Much like, if we look at it, we see that we have prisons in Texas and Mississippi and Louisiana that are contracting with private industry and supplying labor. Many of us would look at that and say, wow, that's just like back in the slavery days. Especially when we look at why some of the people are in jail and why they're never allowed to pardon out or get away. Human trafficking takes a large turn there. And looking at our history gives us a better means of understanding what may be going on in our presence. In the prison system, the legal enslavement that Mac. Yeah.
I do have a question. How much? Obviously time, but how much money and investment is needed for one to truly find out their family history?
It depends. It depends on what exactly you wanted to find. And then the closer you get to that enslaved generation, the more it would be more. Put it that way.
More money.
It would be more money because it requires more research, right? I can't. It just depends. Each person that.
I got you. So like I'm okay. So let's say just like your average person who was just wanting to know their origins, perhaps up to the point where, not necessarily which slave came off the slave ship in the port of Charleston, but at least to what state and maybe the original slave master or something like that. How much money would you have to invest to find something? The average person just wanting to find out that much information.
Great grandfather. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
great grandmother,
yeah.
great grandfather?
4 or 5 generations.
Well, that's more like a inquiry, right? So I can't really put because certain things. I'll just say this.
Just the average amount.
It's I can't even give you an average amount because it depends on what state. It depends on, like you said, if it goes to a great grandfather. But this is the classes that's offered. We can give you the tools to do that. So that it depends on if you're a client or if you're a student.
Okay, okay. So yeah, well, as a client, how much could your organization save me in that investment in that research?
Or what is the tuition to become a student?
Right.
Yeah. What is, what's
It's not a tuition. Now, what we're doing now is the organization. We're having genealogy classes at Chicago Public Libraries, and there's no fee for that.
no fee
There's no fee for
It's
that.
for the
free.
yeah.
Hey.
So tell us about your library project, because once again, we cross that and we look up and we see passion providing as opposed to economic self. So you have created a passion program for people who want to get involved in learning more about their family history through the library system. Tell us about that.
Yes.
Well, it's workshops that we do, 1 to 5 workshops. You get a chance. Go on the Facebook page, which is FWA, Family History Society. You'll see all the details there. So what we do, we can't, because it's Chicago Public Library, we can't charge a fee for that. So that is what we do at the library. We offer those services. That's part of the library programming, right? And so now, if you want to become a client, that's a different story. And that fee, I can't put a number on it because it all depends on what the client wants.
Very, very interesting. Okay, so we've got pictures of Papa and stories of his father and maybe a couple of names, and we got a little family tree growing and going, not based on a relationship with a genealogical group, but just family information. How do you suggest families that are really, I guess they should take your class? And if you're not in Chicago, what would you suggest for people to do that would get them started and possibly want to stay up all night reading after a result of getting just a peek at what's going on? Where can we get a peek without coming to Chicago?
Well, without coming to Chicago, there's thousands of genealogy societies across the state. I would suggest that you join a society there. But if you're really interested in FWA, continue to go to the Facebook page, and we have information there. There is a online resource called Acts of Genealogy Kindness. That particular website, they have like researchers in various states, and they just give the information to you, or try to like answer your question, whatever it is.
Oh, they'll look stuff up for you and answer a few questions.
Yes. It's called Acts of Genealogy Kindness. Yes.
For us lazy people who may figure, well, it's worth $25, and I'll just donate that to somebody.
Well, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
People usually send a donation.
That makes sense.
They usually send a donation, and then there's another site.
Well, Miss Gwen, I read something in here about you that says and uses the word endless several times, one in your passion and study and one in the information that's available.
Okay.
So we are going to assume that that's true and not try to finish. And invite you to understand that here in California, we've got another reason to wonder about our historical ancestry. And it's to qualify for the reparations project program that we're working here.
Okay.
And so that means we're going to need more and more and more, and that seems to fit your profile. So I'm going to call you and beg you to be with us, in the future. And because I know how passionate you are about what you're doing, I do believe that our audience can count on you to help us out as we go forward in our pursuit of the economic benefits of reparations and historical understanding, as well as maybe we'll actually get some people to be so fired up that they won't be able to go to sleep for a couple of nights after hearing the show. And that's what I look forward to. Gwen, we're going to talk about you after you leave. That's part of what we do here. This is the quickest hour on radio.
Okay.
We love you. We thank you for what you're doing, and we will invite you back, and hopefully you will accept the invitation.
I will be glad to come
God
back.
bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. All right, and we are going to talk about you. So, okay,
That's okay.
good deal.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, because it's good stuff.
And I just failed to mention to you one project that our organization is working on, and it's genealogy software.
Ah, yes, and that's part of what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
There is
All
the
right.
money, and hopefully, and then Miss Gwen Howland, thank you very much. God bless you.
You're
and
very welcome.
You can tune in and hear what we've got to say about you. You can watch the podcast.
Sure. Thanks for
I'll
having
send
me.
it. I love you. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. All right. Black History Month.
It's coming up.
It's here.
Yes.
This is February 4th. It's Rosa Parks' birthday. We don't need a lot of genealogical support to figure that stuff out. But Mac, we have gone from being Negroes to Africans, African Americans.
Whoa, no, we weren't Negroes at first. We were less than human here in this nation. Then we became Negroes.
Okay.
Okay. We were 3/5 of a person originally,
Yes.
according to this Constitution of the nation. Now.
And they proved it by just snatching us up and bringing us over here.
So actually, we became Negroes about, I don't know, in the 1940s, 50s. Is that when that term came popular?
Well, I think we were. I don't know. I'm going to look it up because I'm making assumptions based on my anger. I mean,
Let's talk about who we are real quick since you brought that up because it seems to be changing. First, we were Negroes,
well, the thing is, then
black
we
people.
Black people, then
African
and
American.
now Black African Americans,
Yeah,
right? Because you don't have to be black to be an African American.
that's true.
Okay. And now if we look at the census categories, you know, it used to just be once they determined that racism was going to be the path, just, you know, dark skin and light skin.
Well,
You know, they gave the Italians, they gave them all kind of hell because they're dark skinned.
well, you know, there's certain Arab people who come over here and they're classified as Caucasian as well.
Well, sure. I mean, we have that issue. I don't know if you remember the movie, the baseball movie with Richard Pryor. Anyway, the character that he
Brewster's
played.
Millions?
No,
Is it?
it
what
was
are
a
we talking
baseball
about?
movie. Yeah,
Ah.
it was a movie where he realized the benefit of being anybody but black. He was a Cuban, he was an Indian, he was an Arab. He introduced himself. We laugh at that because we understand that for instance, now we hear people talking about code switching.
Yeah.
You know, the poem was written by Langston Hughes. It was "We Wear the Mask." We are code switchers. We had to be. We could talk one way here and another way there. And if we were going to be in the house for a moment, we had to speak a certain way. And if we were going to be out in the yard for a moment, we had to speak a certain way. And that was a survival technique. It wasn't, I don't know who taught us to do it, but it seems fairly automatic.
It's a symptom of victimhood, to be honest with you, because if you take a people and you oppress them and hold them in slavery for over 250 years, then they develop behaviors that we're describing now as code switching, or sometimes at the workplace we call it butt kissing, or you know what I'm. Basically, some of us have learned what to do to get ahead in this atmosphere.
It's called the Stockholm Syndrome when we deal with people who've been kidnapped who decide to start getting along with the kidnapper in hopes that maybe they'll get another little seed of food or whatever.
So we'll leave Clarence Thomas out of this right now.
Well, you know, there are certain people that would look at Clarence Thomas and say, he switched it up. He did the deal. He found him, a little place where he could get his pillow fluffed, and he's doing that, and he's willing to sacrifice a few of his friends and brothers and family to do that.
Well, and more importantly, he represents somebody who uses the American system to get ahead, and then once he's got in a place,
closes the door,
he wants
slams
to
the windows,
change the system so nobody else can get up there. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
And well, is that black?
I don't know. It's like after I met my wife, I put fences around her. I didn't want nobody else to touch her, see her. It's a level of selfishness that satisfies your selfishness.
Well, is he a Negro or is he 3/5 of a person? What would we classify?
Well, he's grown way past the knee level. So he has grown. I don't know. But I know that if we were 100 years ago, some people would say, well, he did what he had to do.
Yes, they would.
Okay, but 100 years from now, as we look back, I don't know how we're going to say it. I know one thing. There was a mixed attitude about Anita Hill when it came out, and many of us should be ashamed that we took the attitude that we took, and that many of us should be happy that we are now able to look at Me Too and say, I understand you, and in some cases apologize for our own personal past conduct. And if I can't apologize, I don't know why white men should. So I apologize for my steps out of line, and I'm not going to stand around and wait for anybody else to apologize. But I am going to go forward and understand that I can improve. And all of us can improve. And it's a decision that we make every day. We'll either do the push-ups or we'll eat the ice cream without it. But don't let the devil be in charge. I'll see you guys next week under two circumstances. One, if the good Lord's willing. Two, if the creek don't rise. God bless you.
NBC News on KCAA Loma